have no idea if you're going to introduce me, so I'll just introduce myself. My name's José, and some pertinent information so that you can catch along with the stories. I am 31, and I'll be 32 in November. And I wanted to tell a bit about myself. I'm not really good at like storytelling per se, so everything's kind of like a news article to me. So I suppose the headline would be a rebellious teenager in his 30s. And the reason that I wanted to talk about this is because I think a lot about just life and why I do things and why I think the way that I think and how can I change that or should I change it or whatever, right? And one of the things that I realized about myself as I kind of got into the Houston music scene and started hanging out with art folks and musician folks that are my age, is that I do feel very much that my childhood was very different than all these people that I'm now associating with. And I feel like in my 30s I am doing things that everyone else did when they were teenagers. So, for example, the first time, when I say first time, I don't necessarily literally mean the first time something happened. Like, for example, this first example that I want to give is the first time I had a drink. My dad, when I was like 7 or 8 or whatever, did the whole here taste this beer thing, and then it sucks, right? Because beer is bitter. So when I say first time, I mean like the first time that I purposely went out to get a drink. I was 24 years old. It just never even crossed my mind to have a drink before that because I was this super straight edge Catholic kid, and I really bought into it. There's this place that I want to get to with this almighty being, and the only way that I can get there is to follow all these rules. And eventually I kind of break out of that, and I don't really understand why those rules even exist and why I should even follow them. So, but all this happens in my early 20s, and it takes me a while to kind of come to grips with the fact that I'm kind of throwing my life away. I'm not doing anything. I'm kind of just being this super isolated, don't have any adventures, don't try anything new because, it's going to break the rules kind of person. So my first drink came when I was 24. I went to this place called Dirt Bar, I think is what it's called. And we went because my roommate Will went to a Slipknot show or something like that, and somebody told him, I don't really remember what band he saw, but it was that kind of band, and told him, oh, you have to go to this bar, it's such a great spot in town. So we went with a friend of his from work who's like, he's a bro. Dude was bro all the way. Like, I go out drinking, I buy my $50 t-shirt because I look good and women are gonna like me in it. And I know all the scenes and all the bars, that kind of guy. So Will invites him to this bar that he heard about, Dirt Bar. And it's definitely a dive. The bar is black. Everything is black. Maybe some touches of gray, but everything's black. And the bartender asked me what kind of drink I want, and I say, I have no idea. I've never had a drink in my life. And so I have no idea what I'm supposed to tell you or what I'm supposed to order. So she asked me like just generally what kind of drinks do I like? Do I like sweet, sour, blah, blah, blah. And so I end up getting like some fruity rum concoction. And I drink it down and I have a second. And Will's friend is complaining about this bar. He's like, there's no girls here. There's no music. It's like a watering hole. It's like old people just come to drink here. And he's so annoyed, and I don't understand why. Like, that's what we came here to do. We came to drink. Like, I wanted to have a drink for the first time in my life, and that's why we're here. And apparently it's not satisfying for you. So on the ride home, I'm totally complaining to Will about how annoying this experience was for me and how I don't like it. And I'm really getting pretty livid about it. And I stopped and I'm like, dude, I think I might be an angry drunk. Like, I've never had a drink in my life, and I'm really upset at you right now for taking me out to this place that frankly was quite boring, but then you took me with this guy who couldn't just live in the moment. Had to complain about it. Like, I just wanted to be in. And so I didn't touch another drink for at least another 6 weeks or so because I thought, man, I think I'm an angry drunk. Like, I don't want to be an angry drunk. I don't want to hit somebody and get in a fight because I had a few beers or something like that. So I take a long time to drink again. And I realized that it's not that I am an angry drunk. I am an excitable drunk. So whatever happens, whether it's something really awesome and super exciting, then I'm super excited. If it's sad, then I am so down. And if I'm angry, then yeah, I'm super angry. Like, I just everything's to the extreme when I've had a few drinks. And it's amusing to me to have all these experiences in my mid 20s, and still now, like, even as short ago as I'm 31, right? Turning on 32. When I was 30, it was the first time that I ever experimented with weed. And that's another funny story too that we're going to get to. But that's what I want to talk about, is all these firsts that I've had, that I feel like everybody like had their first drink when they were 18. They were like sneaking beer out of I never did any of that. I've never had to sneak beer anywhere because I had no desire to when I needed to, and now that I can drink, I just go out and buy it, right? So so that happened, and then everybody talks about their first. Another first that I was definitely late on is losing your virginity. Everybody lost their virginity sometime in late high school or early college, and that again is not the case for me. I was like 26 or something like that. That also happened to be the first times that I had way too much to drink. So the way that I lost my I have no idea why I'm telling this story, but I really like the concept of having all these experiences in my mid to late 20s. We're gonna get to the 30s anyway. So I lost my virginity by means of being on a mission. Like, there was no way that it wasn't gonna happen. I was tired of being that guy who didn't get there. So after many tries of doing it live and in person, meeting someone, I decided, you know what, I'm just gonna go to the internet. And there's this wonderful site that I'm pretty sure plenty of you know about, called Plenty of Fish. And at the time, there was an option to click one night stand, like that's what you're looking for. So I clicked that option in my search to find someone. And for the most part, all those people are fake. They're like just, either they're prostitutes, or it's just a fake account to try to get you to sign up for this other thing or get on the webcam or whatever, right? But I ran into this profile of this girl, and I thought it was really funny because all her profile said was size matters. Anybody that tells you differently is lying to you. I want a really big cock. That's what the profile said, nothing else. So I messaged with, I actually don't know if I have a big cock or not. I've only seen my own, so I assume that it's pretty average. If you want to let me know, just message back and we can figure that out. And we messaged back and forth a while, and they're all just funny things. Like, we never actually talk about we're going to have sex. Like, it's just, I think what you said is funny and I'm going to play along. And eventually we go out, and it's really clear that, yeah, she's looking for a one-night stand. Like, we met up for drinks, and she's like, so we're going to, before we even get to the place, she's like, we're going to go to your place after, right? And I was like, damn, all right, yeah, yes, we are going to do that. And I'm super nervous, so I just start drinking, and I still don't know what types of drinks to get. So I find something that is like a lemonade concoction of some sort. So because I do like lemonade a lot, so I was like, all right, sure, whatever. I'll just drink lemonade. And it really was really smooth. It was like straight up lemonade, so I had a bunch of them. And we get back, and I don't really have that many memories of it because I was pretty inebriated. But I get there. Success, it happens. We're both pretty hammered. And she leaves. And like a month later, I get a call, and it's the most unfortunate call I thought that I could have gotten. Because of course I told all my bros, finally got there, right? This happened, all right, sweet, past that bridge. But then a month later, I get a call from that girl, and I'm like, sweet, we're gonna hook up again. This is gonna be great. And she's calling to tell me that she's pregnant. And I really didn't know what to do with that because, first time around, like, I got a girl pregnant, like, I don't even get a few. Like, I can't even, just have my joy with it just for a little while. No, first time, boom, out of the bat, got a girl pregnant, life's done. I have to get a real job, no more being a musician, all that is dead. But she tells me that, she's like, so, but didn't you use a condom? I was like, yeah, I remember putting the condom on. But to be honest with you, it's quite possible that I didn't do it right, or that I really didn't, because I was really drunk and I don't remember much except that I got there. That's really all I remember. And she's like, well, there's this other guy that I saw like 2 weeks before I saw you. So I'm going to go to the doctor's office, and they're going to tell me how far along I am, and it's really just you and him. So I'll let you know. And that was the end of the conversation. And I had no idea what to do. So Will, my roommate, calls me to tell me to pick him up. This is why he calls me. Because his friend just got pulled over for a DUI. And he needs to be picked up, and the cop won't let him drive the car home because they told him that he was too drunk to drive it. I was like, all right, dude, well, when I pick you up, you might be drunk, but we're going to keep drinking because I need a drink really bad. And I pick him up, he gets in my car, and the fool is sweating alcohol. Like, he sits down, and all I can smell is alcohol, and I tell him, dude, you reek of alcohol, no wonder they didn't let you drive this car. He's like, really? I didn't have much to drink. He's like, we tried this stuff called absinthe, though, and I was like, dude, I don't know what that is, but I've heard of it, and if I've heard of it, it's something crazy. He's like, yeah, man, it's supposed to like make you hallucinate or something like that, and I guess it's really strong. And I was like, yeah, it's really strong. I smell it all over you. So we meet up, another friend of mine who's in town, and when she calls me to tell me she's in town, she lives in Austin, she was surprised in town. I was like, I'm glad you're here. We're getting really drunk. And I tell them the story, and they're like, yes, we're getting you hammered. And so I got way, way, way beyond reason drunk. So those are the first times that I had sex, and the first times that I really just set out my mind to, I'm gonna be drunk right now. I'm not that big a fan of getting drunk because hangovers suck. Although I've kind of learned to master that by drinking a lot of water. Drink a lot of water. Seriously, if you have a glass of water with every drink you have, you're pretty good. You can have a lot of drinks, you'll be fine. But at the time I didn't know that, so I didn't like hangovers, and so I didn't want to drink that much. But to end the story with the girl, she later calls back, and if you actually know me, I do not have any kids that I know of, at least. And she told me it was the other guy, that based on, how far along she was, it was the other guy. And I was like doing a little jig on the phone. I'm like, yes, it's not me. But wear condoms, y'all. Don't mess that up. Like, just don't mess that up. And I just thought it was crazy then, and still now I think that this is the experience I had, and I was 20-something. Like, I guess it's better than if I had gotten that call as an 18-year-old. I would have freaked even more out. But, I was 20-something, so I had a job. It was just kind of thinking about, I guess this musician thing's going to be on hold, and I'm not going to be able to go out as much, and that's really all I thought about. As a teenager, I probably would have freaked out big time. But the other first story that I want to tell you that's really funny is the first time that I experimented with marijuana. And if you're a police officer, I want you to know this is the first and only time. Don't worry about it. Didn't continue doing that. So no need to look me up, especially if you work with me. If you work with me, how did you find me? Because I am unsearchable on Facebook. Anyway, so that happened in my 30s. And, well, not really. Again, when I say first, I mean first time that I actually succeeded in the activity. So, like, I got high. I, smoked at a friend's house named Lila, and we attempted to get me there, but I didn't know what I was doing. Like, I didn't properly inhale, and I just tasted a bunch of marijuana in my mouth, and I was like, all right, it's not that great. But later, a friend of mine who, has a career, he's very career-driven. He's got a master's degree. He's, a really well-put-together person, I felt. And so when he told me that he wanted to start smoking, I was like, really? I've always been worried that it's going to, ruin my life, that I'm going to lose my job, and that I'm not going to be able to, function and all this stuff. And I'm going to end up bohemian like all my friends. I'm going to just be this bohemian. And obviously that's a position of ignorance, right? Once you actually realize what it is, it's no worse, probably better than drinking. It's no different. So anyway, so we decide, he goes to visit a friend of ours and picks some stuff up and comes back. And I'm literally learning to use a carb and how to properly inhale. It's a technique that were I to still smoke, I would use today. Where you kind of put it in your mouth and then you make sure you take another breath. You're getting in my lungs, it's happening. And we decided that what we're gonna do is get high and play this really complicated board game. That's gonna be an excellent night. We love board games, and it'll be even more fun if we're high, right? That was a terrible idea. Because there's a million pieces, and there's 30 different things that you have to think about, and everybody's turn took an hour, and during the middle of their turn you would forget whose turn it was, and it was terrible, but it was hilarious. And I'm really, really happy that is the experience I had as my first time smoking, because I feel as a kid it would have freaked me out. As I've gotten older, and I think it's true for everyone, you become more self-aware. when you get really angry, you might stop and think, why am I angry? And you get better at being angry and reducing it, right? And as a kid, you're just kind of just exploding. So I feel like now as an adult, I'm trying to take all these adventures. I value all these things that maybe other folks might not value as much because they got to do them as kids. Like, I get to sleep at whatever hour I want, right? I don't have to sleep at my house. That is crazy that I value that so much that if I feel like crashing at somebody's place, I'm going to do it. I don't have to ask anybody about it. It doesn't, like, God is not going to be upset at me. All this crazy stuff that I used to think as a kid that I wouldn't do, even when no one was watching. I wouldn't do it because God's always watching, right? And now that I've let go of that, I have like all this life in me. And man, I look back and I think about all these years that I could have done all this stuff when there was kind of less risk. Like now, if I got busted for drugs or something like that, I would lose my job. Like, that is the policy. Like, I work for a nonprofit that gets federal funds. That is the law. They are by law required to let me go if I get arrested for this type of thing. As a teenager, I would have probably just, got a slap on the wrist. Don't do this again, kid. What's wrong with you? You're going to mess your life up. Move on. So there's this air of like really gigantic risk to it in my head that maybe folks that have had longer experience with it are like, yeah, it's really not that adventurous, guy. But, it brings some excitement to my life that I didn't have before. There's one last verse that I want to share with you. And I hear through the grapevine that you have already heard the other side of this story. So I'm going to share it with you as a favor to that person so that both sides of the coin can be heard. This is the first time, first and only, actually, that I was arrested. So, a few years ago, 4 years ago, something like that, I am dating this person. I suppose I should share her name, so she shared mine. I was dating Mary, and I'll start the story at the same place she did because it's the right place to start the story. I was in a band named Noam Chomsky at the time, and it was Noam spelled like garden gnome because we thought we were so clever. I actually just wanted to name it Noam Chomsky because he's amazing. But my bandmates weren't having it. They like to be whimsical, and they said, if it's gnome, like garden gnome, we're in. And I was like, all right, fine. Close enough. Let's do it. Whatever. It gave us a logo anyway, right? Easy logo, gnome. So Mary was out with her sister and found this button. And I love buttons. If you ever see my guitar straps full of buttons, like every other punk guitarist on the planet, I love buttons. So I put them on there. And she found a button that said, "No way, Jose." And it's perfect, right? Like, that's my name. I've heard that a million times. Everyone's like, "Oh, no way, Jose." I'm like, "Oh, you're so original, man. Glad you told me that." But anyway, No Way Jose was pretty original. It was very fitting, right, for my band. And she and I had already gone on a couple, we'd been going out a lot, seeing each other a lot, spending a lot of time together. And I'm not really one to ask a girl to be my girlfriend. I think that's really cliche and dumb. Like, I think if you have a partnership with someone, you just know it. Like, it happens. You don't have to worry about, so will you be my girlfriend? Like, I don't know. That's a pretty high school thing to do, I suppose. Speaking of being a high schooler in your 30s. So she gave me this pen. I thought, what a romantic thing. What I'm going to do is tonight at the show, because it was the day of a show, I'm going to put the pen on my strap while I'm performing, like between songs, and tell everyone that my girlfriend gave it to me. And she'll think it's the sweetest thing in the world, and I'm going to get some. It's going to be great. That is not exactly how it went down. Between songs, I put the pen on, and I say, yeah, my girlfriend gave me this pen that says, "No way, Jose, it's pretty awesome." And Mary, who had been slowly working her way from the back to the front, jets to the back, like immediately turns around and just Speedy Gonzalez out of the room. And I'm kind of left there performing with this visual that she just left. And I'm like, all right, I guess the show must go on. I have no idea what I just did. I think I lost this girl that I really like. And so we perform, and at the end of the show, I realize that the pen is no longer on my strap. And I'm freaking out because not only have I somehow upset her, but now I also lost this gift that she just gave me like an hour ago. So as I'm cleaning up my gear, I'm like, come on, pen. Oh my God, where are you? And I can't find it. So I text her, and she's not around. And I text her, and she's not around. And finally, I'm like, I have to tell you now via text. I didn't want to tell her via text. I think it was via text. I might be wrong on this, but I tell her that I lost the pen. And eventually, I find her again, and apparently she's been at some other party, and she came back. And I was like, hey, what happened? And she just rips into me. She's like, I've never said I was your girlfriend. I'm not your girlfriend. Don't call me your girlfriend. You need to ask me if you're going to tell me that I'm your girlfriend. This is completely unacceptable. And I was like, whoa, I'm sorry. Like, I didn't mean to be presumptuous. I just, things were going great and I really like you and so on and so forth. And good news, I found the pen. Because I did. It was like under the speaker, whatever. And I thought that might turn things around, but not really. Lucky for me, I knew that I was going to see her again, for sure. Because only a week prior, we had gone to Fitzgerald's where they were giving away free Fun Fest tickets to the best dancers in Fitz that night. And Free Radicals were playing, and they're playing like, their jazzy fusion kind of music. And eventually they fall into a salsa beat. And I know how to dance salsa, and Mary and I had already danced salsa once before. So the song starts, and I just start doing salsa moves, and it's Fitz. It's not a salsa club, so we are the best salsa dancers in the club. I'm not that great of a salsa dancer. We like go to Fox Hollow or something when like Salmaron is playing. Those are salsa dancers. They like go to like ballroom classes or whatever, right? They can do some really cool stuff that I should probably take the time to learn. But at Fitz, where no one really knows how to salsa dance, we're the kings of the hill. So Omar Afra just pulls us aside and says, you just won tickets to Fun Fest. No announcement, nothing. He just grabs us and pulls us aside and he's like, what's your name? And I give him my name, and we win these tickets to Fun Fest, and it's pretty awesome. And so I know that we're gonna see each other again because we're gonna go to Fun. She's not just gonna bail on me for Fun Fest. So that night, I'm getting to bed early, and I send her the night before, that is. I'm getting to bed early because I wanted to leave early for Fun Fest, even though I don't want to see anyone on day one. Everyone that I want to see is on day 2. Mary has some people that she wants to see like at 11 and 12, so I figured, we're going to have to leave pretty early, 9 o'clock or so, to make it in time to see these bands. I text Mary, I'm like, hey, just remember, I think we should leave early. And she's like, yeah, I'll be fine. I'm out, but I'm going to go home soon. And this is like at midnight. And I'm like, you're out? You should probably be, I'm the kid that didn't have a drink until 24. So I'm like, you should probably be going to bed so we can get some sleep. Turns out she did not do that. She went out with our friend Lila, who tried to get me to teach me to smoke weed. And so she's out, and I call her the next morning, and she's not waking up, no, she stays over. She comes to my place like at 3 in the morning or something like that, and wakes me up to pick her up. That's right. She freaking wakes me up at like 3 in the morning to go pick her up from Ponderosa, now the Nance house. And I'm pretty grouchy about this, so I go pick her up, and I'm like, can't believe you're out this late, whatever. I don't have anybody to see tomorrow anyway, so I don't care whether we wake up on time or not. And the next morning, I wake up like 9 o'clock. I'm like, hey, do you want to wake up? She's like, I don't want to wake up. Okay, fine, whatever. So we end up waking up like at 11 or so, and we have to go get her car because she left it behind. She texts Lila, who tells her, she told Lila, just drive the car to your house, and I'll pick it up from there. So we go to the house, and it's not there. So she texts Lila, like, hey, where's your car? Now we're really wasting time, and the band she wants to see are about to start, and we're still in Houston looking for her car. So we find her car because Lila tells us she left it at Ponderosa. So we go back, we find it, we get her car, bring it back, get in my car, and we're on our way. And Mary says, do you mind if I pick up some weed? And I'm trying to be a cool guy, right? And at the time, I've already tried to smoke with Lila, but I've decided that I don't really want to do this thing. But I'm trying to be a cool guy, so I'm like, all right, sure, fine, whatever. We'll go pick up some weed, no big deal. So we go do that, and we get on our way. And on the way, she's telling me how close of a time it is to the band that she wants to see. And she's like, can you speed just a little bit? Because I'm driving the speed limit, I'm in no rush. And we have weed in the car, is what I'm thinking. So no need to speed. And she's like, no, come on, we'll make it in time. I'm like, look, your band starts in 30 minutes. We're just leaving Houston. If I go 100 miles an hour, we're not going to make it there in time to see your band. I'm not speeding. So she gets on the website and finds out that they have a live feed telling you what band is playing. And apparently the stage with the band that she wants to see is running 2 hours behind. So we can actually make it to see her band. And when she tells me that, I'm like, all right, fine, I'll speed. And I start driving like 80, 85. And at the time, the speed limit's still 70. So 80, 85 is pretty far past the speed limit. Of course, we get pulled over. And one of the things all you kids should do is learn your rights. Please, 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 if you don't know what rights you have, when a police officer stops you, go to the ACLU website and read what your rights are. You do not have to do most of the things these people tell you to do. I, of course, did not know that at the time because a goody two-shoot kid has no reason to know how to interact with a police officer, because I never will, except when you're speeding to Fun 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 Fest with a little bit of weed in your car. So the guy pulls me over and eventually asked me to step out of the car, which I probably should have asked immediately, am I being detained, am I being arrested? Because he has no reason to ask me to get out of the car if all he's doing is giving me a speeding ticket. So I have no idea what I should do. He pulls me away from the car and starts asking me to give him consent to search the car. And again, I have no idea what rights I have with regard to consent for searching. And eventually I sign this paper that lets him search the car because he's pressing and he's pressing and he's pressing. And eventually I just think that I don't actually have a choice here, otherwise he would have let it go. I signed this paper. Keep in mind, or you should know, not keep in mind, but you should know that this whole time his back is to the car. And it takes a good maybe 3 to 5 minutes for us to get through this conversation where I'm talking about whether or not I should let him search the car. So really, the only complaint I have with Mary is that it was less than 2 grams of weed that we had, and she probably should have eaten it. Just put that motherfucker in your mouth and swallow it, because this guy's walking back to the car, and you have no idea what's going on, and what's that loss to you? You're gonna get high anyway. But unfortunately, she doesn't do that. He asks her to step out of the car and makes her stand on the other side, and he searches the car. Eventually, what Mary had done was hide it in a bag, and eventually he finds it because he's very thorough. And he asks, whose bag is this? And I say, I don't know whose bag that is. And Mary says, oh, it's our friend's that we gave a ride to last night. She left it there. And I was like, great. Now I have to lie about a friend to a police officer if I'm going to keep the story going. So he goes to talk to her, and then he comes back and talks to me, and I don't know what he told her, but he talks to me, and he says, so whose bag is that? And I was like, I'm telling you, man, a friend of ours last night, we were hanging out, she must have left the bag in the car. I don't actually know whose bag it is, so I have to trust what she told me. All I can tell you is that we did have a friend in the car. He says, well, who is that to you? Who is she to you? So that's my friend. We're just going to a music festival right now. She's like, your friend, really? Because she told me she's your girlfriend. And immediately I think back to only a week prior, where Mary had blown up in my face about how she's not my girlfriend and how I need to talk to her before I'm going to say this to people, and I can't just be telling an audience of people that I'm her girlfriend, that she's my girlfriend, without actually running it past her. So I don't really know what to do, so I just tell the cop, I'm like, I have to tell you this ridiculous story now. A week ago, I told a bunch of people that she was my girlfriend, and she blew up on me to tell me precisely that she's not my girlfriend. So I'm sorry that I told you she's not my girlfriend, and she told you she is, because if she is, I have no idea that she is, because she just recently got really upset at me for calling her my girlfriend. So I'm going to stick to my story. She's my friend. You should ask her about it. Because at this point, I'm pretty upset at the officer for giving us such a hard time about all this. So he goes back to her, and all I can see is Mary throw her hands up oh. And from what she tells me, she explained the exact same story to the police officer. So at least we have corroborating stories. I see him arrest her. He puts her in handcuffs and walks her to the car. And as she's walking, Mary's giving me the meanest look I've ever seen in my life. And all I can think is, man, I hope you don't think I told him that this is yours and it's not mine, and arrest her and leave me alone kind of thing, because that's not what happened. Even though it is yours and it's not mine, I'm not gonna throw you under the bridge like that. I hope you don't think that of me. But I very quickly find out that she doesn't think that of me, because he comes to arrest me. And Mary later tells me that, and I completely believed her through and through, because she tells a DA this when we end up eventually in court. He tells the police officer that I didn't know it was there, and that it was all hers, and that I knew nothing of it, so I can't really be blamed for anything. And apparently he arrests me anyway. So I get arrested, I get put into the back of the police car, and Mary's like, I am so sorry you just got arrested. and she's apologizing to me and apologizing, and I'm so paranoid because I remember her talking about he's like still searching the car more, and I remember she's like talking about the weed, and I tell her, I need you to stop talking about everything right now, because I've never been arrested before, and I have no idea if this car has a camera in it. Do they bug police cars? Like, is everything we're saying recorded? I don't want any evidence to exist of anything. I know that I have the right to not talk anymore, and I'm not going to talk anymore. And she's like, well, I'm really, really sorry you got arrested. And I was like, don't be sorry, I got arrested. Nothing adventurous has ever happened in my life. Nothing. And that's the whole point of this. That all through my early 20s and being a teenager, I never did anything exciting. I never got in any trouble. I never ventured out to do anything exciting. And now, as a late 20-year-old, because I was like 28 by this time, I'm getting arrested for weed that I didn't even possess. And it's actually a good story. We end up in jail, which is a terrible story that I don't feel like sharing right now because I feel like we've had a really good time here today. Jail is another first. It's the first time I ever experienced racism. Like, I felt it. I'd never experienced that before, but I was clearly the brown guy amongst a bunch of white people. But really, that is how eventually Mary did agree to be my girlfriend. Was when a police officer asked her if she was or not. Me asking, not good enough. Police officer, yes I am. And all I can say is that I have recently been on this philosophy that there is no right or wrong. Everything is relative. And I know that seems kind of really cold because taken to the extreme, you can justify things like rape and murder, right? Like, there's nothing anywhere written that says these things are actually wrong. You just come to that conclusion and we agree to them. And I actually think people down deep inside are generally good. So if we allow ourselves to decide what is right and what is wrong, we will all conclude that rape is wrong. And the people who don't agree with that are the outliers. And it is our job to then kind of bring them in to like teach them that what they believe is right is not really right. And that it's not okay, and this is why it's not okay, and so on and so forth. They're not like this universal, God told me this is wrong and that's why I do it. I do it because I follow the rules that I follow and I have the beliefs I have because I have thought about them. Because I have been given the option to do everything that is evil in the world. I can do that if I want. But I choose not to, and I think that's much better than I was told not to do it, and so that's why I don't do it. So I never thought about it. I just know that I'm not supposed to. And so I guess all I can say is be adventurous. Don't worry about whether something is right or wrong. Just think about, am I going to hurt anybody? Am I going to affect other people's lives negatively? Because if I am, then maybe I should give some thought to this, and I really should have a reason to do that. I can't just go willy-nilly trampling on people's lives. But if no one's going to get hurt and you're going to have fun, freaking do it. Jump off of a tree into a river, go out really late at night, streak, do a bunch of drugs, do everything you can to live life, because trust me, I spent 20-something years of my life not doing that, and if I could have those years back, I really would, but instead of thinking about having those years back, I'm going to have all the adventures I can from this point out. And that's my story.